unfortunately, I have mailed off the iFi Audio Neo IDSD 2, but I did want to add some extra thoughts to it and real quick and talk about a few things that I didn't really talk about with it, because I kind of missed a few things, and I've had a couple people comment and, you know, tell me about it. But anyway, so firstly is the headphone amplifier. The headphone amplifier is a fantastic headphone amplifier. And speaking of that, I don't know whether you consider a pro or a con, or you know what you might think, but my fanciest headphone amplifier outside of a portable DAC type device, more like a home headphone amplifier, has to be the Jotunheim. The Jotunheim was a very powerful, very, very good headphone amp, and I think its most defining characteristic for me was the idea of its power. Regardless of what you plugged into it, you could feel the power. Okay, and in terms of that aspect of power, the iFi kind of gets close to what I recall with the Jotunheim. Now, audio memory being what it is, but overall, the Neo IDSD got pretty close to what I recall from the Jotunheim. Sonically, the product as it sits, to me, didn't have any real sonic difference between the headphone and the line out, or using it as a preamp or vice versa or whatever. There wasn't really any kind of difference that I could tell. It all kind of sounded the same, which means to me that basically the output stage is fed independent, or not independently, it's fed from the output stage to both the outputs and the headphone amp. So, but yeah, sonically, it's a very smooth listen. Now, I have had a guy comment, and he talked about, oh, some people said it was bright sounding. Yeah, I get that, but it's very clean sounding, and I wouldn't call it bright or clinical. I would call it very exacting. But that's not a negative, because it has just this tinge of warmth to it. You kind of really come across, and you can kind of play anything on it, and it sounds good. To me, iFi Audio, a lot of their products exemplify kind of the British ideal. This idea of neutrality with just a tinge of warmth. Like a lot of Rega amps, like a lot of Rega products, it kind of has that leanness to it. You get kind of in the lower mid-range, kind of middle, the mid-range. You get kind of this leanness a little bit, and also in the bass, just a little of the upper bass, just a little bit of leanness. But what you gain by losing, or what you gain by having that leanness, is the idea of kind of more realistic tone and timbre, and more kind of those tonal colors. And I talk about it a lot because it's one thing I really enjoy listening for. But those tonal colors come through better as a result of that little bit of leanness. That said, though, I do think the Neo IDSD sounded better with my Meze Audio headphones than it did with like my Grados, for example, and a few others that I have. I have a set of Audio Technicas I've never talked about. I think the MH70 or MH50, something like that, one of the budget ones. I picked them up at Guitar Center, as a matter of fact. But anyway, it is a great headphone amp. The DAC sounds good. All of the sonic attributes. Obviously, it is a DAC, so anytime I talk about the sonic attributes, of course, it applies to the DAC. I did not notice any difference, really, truly, sonically, between the analog input. And it almost makes me think, and I could be wrong, and I don't want to make that claim, and then, oh, on the website, on the product page, it says, no, that this is what happens. But I got the impression that the analog input is digitized, because it sounds really exactly the same as the digital inputs. But yeah, overall, it's a great product. The Nexus app works pretty good. I didn't talk about that in the video either. The Nexus app is a Bluetooth app that hooks up to the Neo IDSD and allows you to kind of control basic functions like input selection and volume and power and that sort of thing. And it kind of shares your phone's Wi-Fi network to the Neo IDSD, and it kind of, you know, allows you to do that. But anyway, it works fine. It functions well. I didn't really notice any hiccups with it. I didn't use it either. I just preferred to use the remote or, of course, the device itself. Personally, I don't like using apps for things, for controlling devices. I don't mind using apps for, like, you know, if I'm streaming music and then controlling the stream. But, you know, in terms of getting on my phone and unlocking it and opening the app, and then the app's got to load up, and then I got to click the selection. It's just easier just to grab the remote and bam, bam, bam. It's so simple. You know, but anyway, overall, adding, you know, a little bit further, it's a great product. It really is. It's probably my favorite DAC I've heard so far, and it's probably also my favorite headphone amp I've heard so far. It just sounds really, really good. And like I said, this little bit of leanness, the typical British sound, kind of neutrality, with a little bit of leanness, but with a little bit of warmth. So anyway, pair it with warm headphones and you guys will be rock solid. Anyway, peace out, stay tuned, and take care.